Imagine a kingdom at its peak, wealth, wisdom, and power, only to watch it fracture into chaos. That's the story of First Kings, the golden age of Solomon, the building of the temple, and the tragic split into Israel and Judah. This isn't just ancient history, it's a mirror reflecting ambition, prophecy, and the consequences of compromise. We'll explore 10 shocking facts from First Kings, using the poetic King James Version to guide us. Ready to uncover these truths? Like, subscribe, and let's journey into the heart of Scripture. Solomon's reign begins not with war or conquest, but with a dream that would change the course of history. In the quiet of the night, as he seeks guidance, Solomon's heart is open and humble before God. In this dream, God appears to Solomon and offers him anything his heart desires, riches, long life, or victory over his enemies. But instead of asking for wealth or power, Solomon humbly requests wisdom, a discerning heart to govern his people with justice and understanding. God is so pleased with Solomon's selfless request that he grants him unmatched wisdom, making him the wisest man of his age, and as a bonus, bestows upon him great wealth and honor beyond any other king. Solomon's wisdom quickly becomes legendary, most famously demonstrated in the case of two women who both claim to be the mother of the same child. His bold solution, threatening to divide the child, reveals the true mother's compassion and stuns the nation, leaving all who witness it in awe. Israel stands in awe, recognizing that God's wisdom is truly at work in their king's judgment and leadership. Solomon's wisdom is more than cleverness, it's a gift of divine discernment, the very foundation of his golden age and the prosperity of his people. The lesson is clear: when we seek what serves others and act with humility, greater blessings and unexpected rewards often follow. Solomon's reign shines in history because he first sought to rule justly, putting the needs of his people above his own desires. His wisdom brings Israel stability, prosperity, and international renown, drawing leaders and seekers of truth from distant lands. Yet as we'll see, even the wisest among us can stumble, reminding us that wisdom must be guarded and nurtured throughout life. Solomon's crowning achievement is the temple, a project of staggering scale and sacred purpose. Rising above Jerusalem, it would become the most important structure in Israel's history, a symbol of faith and national pride for generations to come. To realize this vision, Solomon allies with Hiram of Tyre, securing prized cedar wood from distant forests. He marshals tens of thousands of workers, stonecutters, porters, and skilled artisans, each playing a vital role in orchestrating a construction marvel that would take years to complete. Stones are meticulously prepared off-site, shaped and fitted with precision, so that when assembled, the temple rises in reverent silence, no hammer or chisel heard at the sacred site, honoring the holiness of the work. Inside, the temple gleams with gold, intricate wood carvings, and awe-inspiring beauty. Every surface is adorned with ornate decorations, reflecting the devotion and craftsmanship poured into its creation. After 7 years of relentless effort, the temple stands complete, a national and spiritual milestone, drawing crowds from across the land to witness its splendor. In a moment of profound significance, the Ark of the Covenant is brought into the sanctuary, symbolizing God's presence among his people and fulfilling ancient promises. At the dedication, Solomon stands before the people in praise, asking that the temple be a place of forgiveness, justice, and hope for all who seek God's mercy. Suddenly, God's glory fills the temple in a radiant cloud, overwhelming the priests and leaving the assembly in awe of the divine presence. The temple becomes the anchor of Israel's faith and identity, a sacred gathering place for worship, prayer, and national celebration. It marks the zenith of Solomon's reign, and the unity and spiritual strength of Israel at its height. Solomon's wisdom brings not just peace, but unimaginable wealth. Israel becomes an economic powerhouse, with silver as common as stones. Solomon controls trade routes, builds a navy, and brings in gold from distant Ophir. He monopolizes horse and chariot trade, forging alliances across continents. The Queen of Sheba visits, testing his wisdom and marveling at his court's splendor. She admits the reality surpasses the legend, blessing Solomon and his God. His annual gold income is staggering, his throne a masterpiece of ivory and gold. Solomon's fame and influence reach every corner of the ancient world. His reign is the high point of Israel's prosperity and global standing. Yet beneath the gold, cracks begin to form. The seeds of decline are already sown. Solomon's downfall begins with compromise, marrying foreign wives for political alliances. These marriages bring foreign gods into Israel despite God's clear warnings. As Solomon ages, his wives turn his heart to idolatry. He builds altars for Chemosh, Molech, and Ashtoreth, even participating in their worship. The man who built God's temple now builds shrines to false gods. God's anger is swift. The kingdom will be torn away, though not in Solomon's lifetime. Only Judah will remain for David's sake. Solomon's story is a warning. Wisdom and wealth can't protect a divided heart. Spiritual compromise starts small but leads to ruin. The golden age fades, and division looms. The stage is set for chaos. Solomon's death ends an era. His son Rehoboam faces a nation weary of heavy burdens. The people, led by Jeroboam, ask for relief from harsh labor and taxes. Rehoboam rejects wise counsel, choosing arrogance over compassion. His harsh response sparks rebellion. The 10 northern tribes break away, crowning Jeroboam king. Only Judah and Benjamin remain loyal to David's line. This split is not just political. It's divine judgment for Solomon's idolatry, foretold by the prophet Ahijah. The United Kingdom shatters and 2 rival nations emerge. The division is a deep spiritual wound shaping Israel's future. From now on, 1 Kings follows 2 kingdoms, 2 lines of kings, and a legacy of conflict. The consequences of compromise echo for generations. Jeroboam, fearing his people's loyalty to Jerusalem, creates a new religion for the north. He makes 2 golden calves, placing them in Bethel and Dan, declaring, "Behold thy gods, O Israel." This echoes the sin at Sinai and leads Israel into idolatry from its very start. Jeroboam appoints non-Levite priests and invents new festivals, building a counterfeit faith for political gain. The Bible repeatedly condemns this as the sin of Jeroboam. Every northern king is measured by this failure. The golden calves become a spiritual cancer, dooming the northern kingdom. Idolatry, once begun, proves impossible to contain. Generations later, King Ahab and his wife Jezebel plunge Israel into deeper darkness. Ahab outdoes all previous kings in evil, marrying Jezebel, a zealous worshipper of Baal. Jezebel makes Baal worship the state religion, building temples and altars and persecuting God's prophets. Hundreds of Baal and Asherah prophets dine at the royal table. True faith is hunted. The court becomes a center of paganism, moral corruption, and tyranny. Baal worship brings depravity and even child sacrifice. Ahab and Jezebel's names become synonymous with wickedness. Their reign demands a dramatic response from God. Into this darkness steps Elijah, a prophet who will challenge their power. The stage is set for a showdown between God and Baal. Elijah bursts onto the scene with fearless conviction, declaring a drought to challenge Baal, the supposed god of rain. His words are a direct affront to the king and the nation's idolatry, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown between the God of Israel and the false gods worshipped by many. For years, famine grips the land, turning fertile fields into dust and leaving people desperate for relief. The drought is relentless, a daily reminder of the nation's spiritual crisis and the consequences of turning away from God. Then Elijah confronts Ahab, the troubled king, and calls for a contest on Mount Carmel, a public test to reveal the true God. Before all Israel, Elijah challenges the people, his voice echoing across the mountain. "How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him." The crowd is silent, torn between fear and hope. The prophets of Baal cry out all day, leaping and shouting, desperate for a sign from their God. But there is no answer, no fire, only silence. Elijah mocks their futile efforts, then calmly repairs God's ancient altar. He soaks the sacrifice and the wood with water, making the task seem impossible, and then prays with unwavering faith. Instantly, fire falls from heaven, consuming the offering, the wood, the stones, and even the water in the trench. The miracle is undeniable, a display of divine power that leaves no doubt. The people fall on their faces, overwhelmed and awestruck, declaring together, "The Lord, He is God." Their hearts are moved by the undeniable evidence before their eyes. This is a decisive victory for God over paganism, a moment of triumph that echoes through the ages. Elijah's faith and boldness turn the nation's heart back to God, if only for a moment, inspiring hope and awe among the people. The contest on Carmel shines as a brilliant light in a dark age, a beacon of hope, and a call to return to true faith. It proves God's power beyond question and exposes the emptiness of idols, shattering the illusion of false gods. Yet, Israel's struggle with idolatry is far from over. The people remain divided, their loyalties tested by fear, tradition, and the pressures of their world. Elijah's ministry is just beginning. His journey will continue to challenge kings, confront evil, and call a nation back to the living God. During the drought, God sends Elijah to a starving widow in Zarephath, enemy territory. She's preparing a final meal for herself and her son when Elijah asks for bread. Despite her desperation, she obeys Elijah's word from God. Miraculously, her flour and oil never run out until the drought ends. This quiet daily miracle sustains them all. God's provision comes through unlikely people in unlikely places. The story shows faith and obedience can unlock God's abundance. Even in scarcity, God's care never fails. Elijah's life ends as dramatically as it began. Knowing his time is near, he journeys with Elisha, crossing the Jordan as the waters part. Elisha asks for a double portion of Elijah's spirit, a true spiritual inheritance. Suddenly, a chariot and horses of fire appear, and Elijah is taken to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha witnesses this, receiving Elijah's mantle and mission. Elijah is one of only 2 in the Bible taken to heaven without dying. His fiery departure cements his legacy as a prophet of unmatched power. Elijah's story ends, but his influence echoes through generations. 1 Kings is a story of glory and ruin, of wisdom squandered and warnings ignored. Even the greatest blessings can be lost through compromise. Yet God's faithfulness endures, sending prophets like Elijah to call his people back. No darkness is too deep for God's light. Dive into 1 Kings yourself. Its lessons on leadership, faith, and the cost of compromise are timeless. What surprised you most? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys through Scripture.